بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. تعلم والتعليم وتذكر والتذكير والنفع بالإفادة والاستفادة ودعوة إلى الهدى والدلالة على خير وحث على التمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله سبحان الله والحمد لله ولا إله إلا الله ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. Bismillah. Welcome back. This is the last class because this time next week we will be fasting. And then inshallah, and this time next week we'll be breaking our fast. And in the evenings, inshallah, we'll be praying Taraweeh. Inshallah ta'ala. Therefore, that's why there's no class next week. Some people ask why. Well, that's the reason why there's no class next week, because it's the month of Ibadah, month of worship in Ramadan. Will be, depending which sighting you're going to follow, Ramadan will either be Saturday or Sunday. We'll talk about that at another time. But this class is perhaps the most important class. We spent months now building up to this particular topic. Arguably, someone may ask, well, shouldn't this particular topic be done first? I'm unsure of whether or not this topic should have been done first. But I'll ask you at the end, and you can tell me what you think. But yeah, there we go. Okay, obviously, last time I saw you was about 3 weeks ago. I had 2 weeks off. I'm sure you know exactly how long it's been. But yeah, for about 2 weeks now. And in my absence, I had a good friend of mine come and do a talk, which I spoke to several of you, and you said it was very, very useful. Okay, and I'm glad that is the case. So, tonight's class, inshallah, before I get into it, inshallah, we're going to look at what's been happening in the news while I've been away. And sadly, as you can see from the top there, many things have been happening, all right, that have a direct relevance to the topic we are doing. And I think now I've kind of proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, that what's happening in the news has a direct relation to the topics we've been doing from October all the way till now. Well, let's have a look, inshallah, before you pray Maghrib. All right, this is the evening news, 12th of February. Teenager, 18, charged with terrorism offences following arrest. Mohammed Bilal, 18, from Nelson, has been charged with 6 offences. All right, thank you. 2 counts of preparation to commit terrorist acts. 4 counts of collection of information likely to be useful to a person committing or preparing an act of terrorism. All right, 18-year-old. That one. The same one there. This is an interesting one, but I'll leave that a bit later. Okay, leave that one as well. Leave that one as well for now. Alright, 17th of February. Austrian knife attack suspect was radicalized on TikTok. The thing I always warn you about. TikTok, Instagram, what do I say? Don't take Islam from TikTok. Do I not say that? Have I been saying that for years, Said? As someone who's graduated. For years. Now you see why. Did anybody hear about this guy? Hands up, anybody hear about this? There we go. Austrian knife attack suspect was radicalized on TikTok. So we took his Islam from TikTok. How many of us know people, and I'm saying you guys don't do that, alright? But how many of you know many Muslims learn their Islam from TikTok and Instagram? Here's what you get from it. Alright? That's February 17th. Suspected Islamist attacker is a 23-year-old Syrian refugee, which you're going to see why that's important. Alright? Has admitted carrying out an attack. Right? 23-year-old believed to have killed a teenager and injured 5 other people in a weekend stabbing rampage in Austria. Yeah? had been radicalized quickly by using TikTok. TikTok Islam. The suspect, identified as Ahmed J, had the flag of the Islamic State militant group in his apartment, but had not previously attracted Austrian authorities. So this guy went and started stabbing people in Austria, out of the blue. Again, he took his Islam from TikTok. Alright? You can read that in your own time. Mother and child died from injuries after the Munich car attack. Anybody hear about this? Hands up who's heard about this? One person. Two. Right, look at this one. A mother, 37-year-old, and a 2-year-old daughter. 2-year-old daughter have died from injuries they sustained in Thursday's car attack in the German city of Munich. They had their elections yesterday, by the way, if anybody's paying attention. And you should pay attention to this stuff, because if you're going to bury your head in the sand, you're going to regret it. You need to wake up. You really do need to wake up as to what's happening. At least 37 people were injured when the car was driven into a crowd of people. The driver was a 24-year-old Afghan asylum seeker. And you're going to see how that plays right into the hands of the far right. Okay? Identify the local media as Fard Ayn. Let me see. Yeah, there he is right there. Not what you expect, right? Not what you expect. Alright, but here, let's have a look. Asylum seeker. See how the male plays on this. Alright? Who drove into a Munich crowd. ISIS is an Islamist extremist. Yelled, Allahu Akbar! And killed people. And even prayed after crashing into 36 people. What kind of prayer is that? Leaving a child to fighting for her lives. Fighting for her life. Or for life. That one. Alright, this happened February the 10th. Let's have a look at it. Man goes on trial in France over deadly Nice church attack. This individual here, a Tunisian man, has gone on trial in France, accused of fatally stabbing 3 people in a terrorist attack in a church. He went to a church to kill people. And then he said, I have no recollection, I can't remember what happened. Selective amnesia. When he allegedly almost decapitated a 60-year-old woman, tried to chop her head off. Stabbed another worshipper 24 times and slit the throat of a church worker with a knife, killing all 3. By the way, this is all in Islam's name. This is not the mental people or some people unwell. You can take your time and try and sweep underneath the carpet. These people are Quran and Sunnah. Let us be under no illusion as to what's being said here. Again, we don't have time to go all the details. Is Umar here yet? No, he's not here. Special thing. Alright, this one here, again, same as before, 1 dead and police hurt in a knife attack in France. 1 person has been killed and 5 police officers injured in a knife attack in eastern French city. 37-year-old man was arrested at the scene and the prosecutor has opened a terrorist inquiry. This was the other day, 22nd by the way, the other day. Alright? Because the suspect reportedly shouted Allahu Akbar. The suspect was subject to a deportation order because he was on a terrorism watch list. Alright, this one. Anybody know about this one? 21st of February, 19-year-old Syrian man. And again, this is not the nationalities aren't important in reality. It's a risk. But the fact that the immigrants plays into certain political agendas which affect us all. A 19-year-old Syrian man was suspected of stabbing a Spanish tourist Abela's Holocaust memorial and had planned it for several weeks to kill Jewish people. Right? Give Jamie the microphone.
The suspect was carrying a prayer rug, a copy of the Quran, and the suspected weapon in his backpack, suggesting a religious motivation, police said. After being taken to hospital with serious wounds to his neck, the victim underwent an operation and was put into an induced coma, but his life is no longer in danger.
Right, have a look at this one now. Revealed, the terrorist arrest of a France police attack on Saturday is unmasked as an extremist. The country failed to deport 10 times. So here's the nail now playing on the whole immigration thing. Not kind of realizing that the issue isn't immigration, the issue is that he killed people. But you can see how it plays into the narrative. There's no conspiracy theories, people. It's very simple, right? You've got people who learn Islam on the internet and get radicalized and then go and kill people. Some of these people are people who are immigrants. Is there anything wrong, people? Please, am I the only one seeing what's wrong here? Or are you guys oblivious? Is there a problem? Does anybody not see a problem? Hands up who does not see a problem here. Everything's okay. Who sees a problem? Right? Are you worried? Southport attack, alright? When that kicked off, and that wasn't a Muslim. And things are shifting to the right. You guys have to be aware of what's going on around you. Right. Hold on a second. That might be done. Alright, this is another one. Alright, this was when I was away, 13th of February. Read, Jamie.
A single mother of 4 is facing jail after preparing to travel to Afghanistan with her children, planning for them to become martyrs for Islamic State. Farishta Jami, 36, pledged allegiance to Islamic State and had a clear interest in the use of children in warfare, including...
Yeah, I can skip that. Fish is right there. Again, that was last week as well. This is what I have time to go into. Yeah, read that in your own time. Most victims in the Swedish mass shooting had immigrants. The background of the victims were people who were immigrants, which have no issue anyway. But the Guardian is just saying, look, this man who went out and killed people here in the name of whatever Fard Ayn and Sunnah this man claims to follow. He ended up killing people like himself, who were people who were immigrants. Again, it's right here. Right here. This is interesting. Look at this guy. Read out.
More extremists in the UK than the Middle East. Counter-extremism analyst warns the UK is becoming a global power base for radical Islam due to Keir Starmer's weakness.
So here we have this guy's from the UAE. I don't know much about him, to be honest. I don't know. But the fact that he's on TV, obviously it's GB, so his issues anyway. But the fact that he's on there, and he's saying more extremists in the UK than the Middle East, this plays onto an agenda. I'm not talking about conspiracy theory, because there are Muslims even on campus, there are Muslims who think this is all conspiracy theory, that these individuals who go and kill people, they don't really exist. They don't really exist. So who's killing people? It's some conspiracy, it's Islamophobia. People who are going to continue thinking about that are running away from the truth. And the truth is bloody. And the truth is very ugly, but we've got to deal with it. That we have people amongst us, not here in this room, who have very extreme thoughts. How about this one? Read that.
The West's response to the war in Gaza has caused a degree of anger that will inevitably lead to a rise in radicalization among young Muslims. The UK's leading counter-extremism expert has warned.
Sarah Carter, who I do know, by the way, she's saying, and she goes on to talk about her own friends, middle class lawyers and so on and so forth. It's probably worth it. Read this part here.
She said middle-class Muslims, such as her banker and lawyer friends, were incensed at how cheap Palestinian life seems to be in the eyes of the West. In the case of Palestinian lives, these laws and rules don't seem to matter, the UK's former commissioner for countering extremism said.
So understand very clearly what it is I'm saying, because I recently met some students who don't understand what I'm trying to say, because they can't see it. My point is this: what's happening in Palestine, everybody who has any faith or Iman knows it's wrong. We're not talking about it. What are we talking about? We're talking about young men and young women sat at home watching all these videos of what's happening. And then somebody coming along and saying, look, you have to go and do something. Tayyib, what should I do? Go and jahid fi sabilillah. Go and kill yourself for sabilillah, or go and get a knife and stab the Jewish people, or go get a car and run down people and kill people. That's what we're talking about. That's what she's saying. And the irony of what she said that on the weekend, that's exactly what happened. These individuals in Europe, because of what's happening, there's other articles I didn't have time to go into, but some of the motivation for one or two of these guys on the weekend was what's happening in Gaza and how these governments are supporting Israel. We disagree with what governments are doing and supporting. Yes, that's not up for debate. Look, that's obvious. What I'm talking about, and why I hope people with any intellect understand, is that I am against people using Islam to kill innocent people in the name of the innocent people of Palestine. I'm against that. Not only I'm against that, but Islam's against that. That's what I'm talking about. But some people don't understand that. Some people think anyway, it is what it is. We haven't got time. Wallahi, we don't have time. If you can, all that within 2 weeks, all that happened. A major attack, and I said it to you girls, remember, I said to you last semester, right? Yes, in the back. Told you girls, look, did I not? I told you, didn't I, right? Yeah, I said, I imagine something happening within next year. Obviously I'm not planning anything, nor do I know anybody's planning anything, but just, it's heating up, right? And all it takes is for one person on TikTok to get carried away, and somebody says something to him, and he goes and starts killing people. And then you're going to have self-taught all over again. But the issue is not drunken people who are going to go around rioting. That's not the issue. If that's all you understand, you don't understand the situation. What I'm talking about is the middle ground of people who will move to the right and start endorsing the likes of Farage. That's what I'm talking about. That middle ground, who will move to the right and then start endorsing things against immigrants that is basically a veil over Islamophobia. But people don't understand. I've told you, this is what's going on. For those who want to listen, bismillah. Those who understand, bismillah. Those who want to criticize and argue, move aside, because we don't have time for that. We don't have time anymore for that kind of rubbish. Anyway, inshallah ta'ala. Umar's not here, but what I had for Umar was this one. Very interesting, look at this one. Singapore, because Umar's from Singapore, right?
Yeah.
Alright, just in case anybody thought Singapore was all nice and green, which it is. But yeah, Singapore detains teenager radicalized by far-right extremism. Here's somebody in Singapore getting radicalized by the far-right. Because he looked at, in New Zealand, the video of that guy who went in and killed all these people, all the Muslims in the mosque in New Zealand. He got radicalized by that. Afwan, sorry for this Daily Mail, what do you expect? Afwan, the video, what's going on there. What you expected from the Daily Mail? It's so folder and gubh. But anyway, this issue of Singaporeans, Afwan, that's the images, what can you do? Do you get the point? Do you get my point? All of that, all of these individuals who went on to do, apart from the far right, who went on to do what they did it in the name of Islam. The understanding of Islam, there was something wrong with the understanding of Islam. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah.
Right or wrong, huh? Anybody here? Are you awake? Yes or no? Come on.
Yes.
This is not a time
Yes.
to be asleep.
You're right. Yes.
Of course. There's this hadith which in John Moore's on Friday I did a khutbah on, and 2 weeks ago we spoke about for 2 hours. Is that hadith there? Not what the Prophet said, I fear, the thing I fear most. Does that hadith not explain all of those people? Inshallah, khalas. We will pray Maghrib now, inshallah, then we'll come back and we'll finish. Got quite a bit to do today. I'm going to try my best to get it all done as quick as possible because it's probably the most important class. Inshallah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Welcome back. Inshallah. Have you lost anybody? Any casualties? Everyone's still here. Where's she gone? Okay, the topic was a bit too heavy. I didn't say you wasn't. It's a heavy topic. It's not a nice topic, let's be honest, right? What people are doing in the name of Islam, what people are learning in the name of Islam is not nice. Because you see, now someone may argue or say, well, I learned Islam on TikTok, but I'm not that crazy to go and kill somebody. We're not talking about that either. We're talking about the idea behind the theme that encourages people to go and kill is not an overnight thing. It comes from an idea. The idea that I'm Muslim, they are kuffar. I'm Muslim and all you guys aren't Muslim. And the only difference between an individual like that and the individuals in a news article is that they picked up the sword. As this man in the hadith did. That's the only difference. One had the courage to go and follow it through, the others sitting on the fence, but they categorically believe that you deserve to die. You just don't have the courage to go and do it. Anyway, there's a lot to do. We're going to move quickly, inshallah, so please forgive me if there's things you don't quite get. There's a Q&A at the end, inshallah. Alright, bismillah. That should have come up. Not in my perspective. Alright, listen to me. The slides will be available in a day or two. As you know, or some of you may know, I used to work within the prisons. Alright? And I used to work, from time to time, I'd come across men who were in prison for what's called a tact offence. What's a tact offence? An offence where that individual has been found guilty of committing acts of terrorism. So I would sit from time to time with individuals who are part of ISIS. I would sit from time to time in cells, in rooms, with individuals who are part of Al-Qaeda. Alright? Now, it's very fascinating. Very fascinating. And I met some very good people. Alright? But this slide is useful. Because what I found, or what they told me, is that, and this should have come off in second past, but there we go. What this individual told me is that looking back at his past mistakes, he's in prison now, doing a long stretch. He said, if somebody says, follow the Quran and Sunnah, anything wrong with that? Well, that sounds nice, right? Who doesn't follow the Quran and Sunnah? But what he told me is that, but according to who? That statement, people can play around with it. Because yes, everybody follows the Quran and Sunnah, but you have to follow somebody's interpretation of the Quran and Sunnah. So his conclusion was that that statement is vulnerable. To what? To misuse. To misinterpretation. So he said the next sentence, follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the Salaf, the early Muslims. And he said, and his experience, that sentence was also open to misuse. Because again, whose interpretation of the early Muslims are you going to rely on? You understand? So he said, he finally realized that the only thing that could really not be messed around with or misused or misinterpreted as easily as the others was the last sentence, which says what, Jamie?
Follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the Salaf as understood and interpreted by the vast majority of scholars for the vast majority of the time.
He said he realized that there was airtight. Nobody can mess around with that one. Because follow the Quran and Sunnah, na'am. Follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the Salaf, na'am. Whose interpretation? Fulan, fulan. No, the vast majority of ulama for the vast majority of time. And he realized that was airtight. Nobody can mess around. The only issue is that you have to work out the majority, what are they saying? You see, and this is a guy, part of ISIS, and now he's in prison, still there as far as I know. And he understood now that that sentence is probably more accurate. So that's his present. That's his gift to you guys to be careful. Right? Which statement is least vulnerable to misuse? I would say, and he would say, the last one. Okay, moving on. Alright, this is nothing new, Jamie.
Allah has promised to preserve this faith. Number one, the Quran and Hadith have been preserved. Number two, the correct methodology of how to interpret them has also been preserved. Number three, this correct methodology was developed by the scholars. Which scholars? Number four, the vast majority of scholars for the vast majority of the time.
Alright, you stick with that. The vast majority of scholars for the vast majority of time, and you be safe. No one's going to mess around with you. You'll never get confused. My proof, if you want further proof, later on I'll give you more proof. Well, let's move on. Bismillah.
Safety from extremist views and misguidance can be found by adopting and following their methodology in interpreting. Bypassing and ignoring the collective wisdom of hundreds of thousands of the greatest minds Islam has produced, who have lived throughout the history of Islam, from Morocco to Indonesia, results in extremism, misguidance, and division in the Ummah.
When you bypass 1,000 years worth of scholarship of the Aqidah and all that, you bypass all those ulama, then what you're going to do? You need someone to tell you how to understand. Then you are open to what? To people who are going to fool you. People who are going to trick you. That's my point there.
Indeed, in the past, the Ummah has been united for centuries because of madhabs. Do you think we as Muslims are divided today?
Who thinks we're united Muslims right now? Hands up. Yeah, that's what I thought. Alright, Bismillah, anyone?
Question 1. How has Islam, Iman and Ihsan been understood, preserved and transmitted by the vast majority of scholars for the vast majority of our history?
Somebody may say, Sheikh, why are you focusing on the vast majority of scholars for the vast majority of time? I've never heard anybody say that. All I hear is people saying, follow the Quran and Sunnah. Or follow the Quran and Sunnah according to the Salaf. I've never heard of anybody saying, follow the vast majority for the vast majority of time. Is there any proof to that? Alright, Bismillah.
Are there any hadiths in which the Prophet tells us to follow the majority? That the majority cannot all be wrong and that they are protected from misguidance.
Does our Prophet ﷺ say, follow the majority? Does our Prophet say, ﷺ, that the majority of ulama cannot always be wrong, that they are protected from misguidance? Is there any such hadith? Let's have a look. We know that in the Quran, Allah says, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا ذِكْرًا وَإِنَّا لَهُ الْحَافِظُونَ. Verily, surely we have revealed the remembrance, and surely we shall preserve it. No issues with that. Next point. يَدَ اللَّهِ مَعَ Jama'a. The hand of Allah, metaphorical, is with the majority. Is with the majority. So follow. There we go. Here's the proof you're looking for. Follow as-sawl al-a'zam, the greatest number. You said that? Which hadith? Hakim and Mustadrak. Any other hadith? Let's have a look.
Allah has informed us to ask the people of remembrance.
فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Verse of the Quran. Ask the people of knowledge. Alright? No such thing as self-taught. Please, don't follow people who've been self-taught. You're going to ask me, how do I know who's self-taught? Stay to the end of the class and you'll know.
And because of this, he has generally given a protection to the vast majority of scholars from error.
Here's my proof, alright? My ummah, the Prophet says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, in brackets I put it in red because that's not from the hadith, but I'll put it in brackets because the ulama say when the Prophet says my ummah, he's talking about the ulama. As Imam al-Tirmidhi says in the Sahih. Right, okay, my ummah, the scholars, will never agree on dhalala, manifest error, misguidance. All of them, all agree on something that is wrong for 1,000 years, from Morocco to India. They all got it wrong. As one brother said to me recently, the vast majority of ulama from his country, he said, for the past 1,000 years, in their aqidah they made mistakes. MashaAllah. 1,000 years worth of ulama, they made mistakes in their understanding of Allah. Not just one, by the way, he's talking about the whole 1,000 years worth of scholars. Which also means his father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather, he hasn't understood this yet. The Dajjal that Shaitan is teaching him hasn't really taught him to think about that. Tayyib, how long have you been practicing for? A couple of years. How long have you been studying Islam for? 1 year. Part-time. Online. You laugh, but al-mudhik al-mubki. In Arabic, that's where the thing that makes you laugh and makes you cry. All of a sudden now, you mashallah, ana rabbukum al-a'la. You're judging now, you're almost like Allah. All the ulama, ya akhi, these are the people who taught your father and your grandfather how to pray. And now you've studied Islam online. Inshallah. This is what I see. Almost every week, Shahad, you see it with me, you see it. I'm not making it up. Anyway. So, here we go. So, anyone?
So, if you see differences of opinion, stick with the greatest number.
Here's the hadith. I always say, follow the majority, follow the majority, follow the majority. There's the hadith. Ibn Majah. The Prophet said it, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Even if the Prophet didn't say it, logically, does it make sense to follow the majority? It makes sense. Otherwise, you follow the minority. That makes no sense. Follow the majority. It's safer. Safety in numbers. Even rationally, it makes sense. Move on. Alright. Alright, read.
Given this hadith, is it possible that the vast majority of scholars, the vast majority of time, can all agree on something that is wrong?
I've answered it already, yes? They can't. It's impossible. Because they're protected. The hadith says, my ummah will never agree on manifest error. So if you see differences of opinion online, if you see differences of opinion, this one says haram, this one says shirk, this one says kufr, this one says bid'ah. What do you do if you're confused? Stick to the majority. Who are the majority? That's the issue. Who are the majority? And that's the next question, next answer I'm going to give you, inshallah.
Otherwise, Allah's promise to preserve this deen has not been fulfilled, which is absurd. The Prophet ﷺ has told us that if we see differences in opinion as we do today, then we should stick with the greatest number, meaning the scholars. They are called
Ahlu Sunnah wa Jama'a. That's the term. Ahlu Sunnah wa Jama'a, they're the majority. Now this is the term everybody plays around with because it's a very lucrative term. Everybody wants that. And it's authority. If you say, I am Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a, it gives you authority. Not everybody who says they're Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a or who is a scholar of Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a represents Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a. We don't look at names, look at the realities. Alright? So who are they? Ahlu Sunnah means the people of Sunnah and the people of the largest group, Jama'a. It's a technical term to mean the vast majority of scholars for the vast majority of time. Again, the theme, the vast majority for the vast majority of time. But the technical term, Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a. Who are they? What do you know about the term Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a, the people of Sunnah, the prophetic way, and the people of Jama'a? I'm going to give you a quick breakdown. Bismillah.
a term given to mean the main body of Sunni Orthodox Muslims and their beliefs, defined by scholars as those that follow one of the four Sunni schools of fiqh:
Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali. Are there other schools? Yes. Ja'fari, Zaydi, but they're not Ahl Sunnah. Are they Muslim? Yes. I'll come to that in a second. But we're talking about Ahl Sunnah, Sunni Muslims. Sunni Muslims, the technical term is Ahl Sunnah. First thing, they follow one of the four schools. That's the first thing. And that's been unanimously agreed upon for centuries, from east to west. Number two.
One of the schools of Aqidah, namely the Ash'aris, Maturidis, and the non-anthropomorphist of the Athari.
Hadith Hanbali. Again, this is, most of you have done this, some of you haven't. But basically, in Aqidah, there's two main schools, the Ash'ari and the Maturidiyya. Okay, mashallah. Azhar has been teaching Ash'ari Aqidah for centuries. Mashallah, you go to any leading Islamic institution, for centuries they'll be teaching the Ash'ari Aqidah. We don't have time to get into that because we spoke about it months back. And number three,
those that follow / accept a path of Ihsan / tasawwuf that is grounded in the Quran and Sunnah.
So these three signs are signs that the ulama have said represent Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a. Those who follow one of the four schools, right, whichever one you want, they're all correct. Those who follow one of the schools in Aqidah, Ash'ari or Maturidiyya or Atharis, with a caveat at the back, the caveat. And people who either accept or follow a path of tasawwuf. Historically, that's what your ancestors were following. That was Sunni Islam. Contrary to what you hear today. The opposite of what you hear today. The opposite of what you hear on TikTok and Instagram. Right? And the hadith of Jibreel can be broken down. Islam is the 5 pillars. Iman, the 6 pillars. Ihsan, to worship Allah as if you see Him. Nothing new. That's called the Jibreel hadith. Do you remember it? Islam, we have fiqh. The 4 madhabs. Iman, we have Aqidah, Ash'ari, Maturidiyya, the hadith. Ihsan is tasawwuf. Tasawwuf, ilm. MashaAllah. Again, we spoke about this in detail last semester. MashaAllah. Alright, that's been the majority. I've attested to my history. Read that last point. Al-Azhar. I'll do it, it'll be easier. Some technical words. Al-Azhar in Cairo for the Egyptians. Qarawiyun in Fez, Zaytuna in Tunisia. The oldest Sunni Islamic universities in the world. The Zawiya in the Sahara of Algeria. The schools in Shanqit. The Rabat in Yemen. The centuries old schools in Haramain, in Mecca and Medina and Iraq and Sham and India and the Caucasus areas and the Far East. All of these places for 1,000 years taught Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a, one of the 4 madhabs, one of the 2 schools of Aqidah and spirituality. Ooh, that's different to what you hear online. You'll hear 100 people arguing against me. Now, half of them on campus. When we look at the greatest authorities in Islam, in Hadith, in Tafsir, in Fiqh, in Aqidah, they all fall into that definition. Read.
Being from the Sunni tradition, what does this tell you about who you should take your faith from?
Right, sisters, there's a microphone somewhere, I hope. Is there a microphone? Oh, mashallah, there we go. I landed on the right person. Being from a Sunni tradition. And by the way, I'm not saying if you're not Sunni, you're not Muslim. I'm not saying that. And that will be clarified later on. But if you're from the Sunni tradition, given what I've told you are the main distinguishing features of Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a or Sunni Islam, what does this tell you about who you should take your faith from if you want to understand Sunni Islam? Okay, obvious, but hard at the point. Put the microphone on.
Someone that studied one of the schools.
Alright, one of the schools. Anything else?
Like schools go through that as well.
Anything else?
And spirituality.
Very simple, right? Very simple. I told you, nice and easy. Great.
When we look at the great scholars of Islam that the Ummah have agreed on, the transmitters / carriers of this faith throughout the centuries, whom without we would not understand Islam, For example, scholars in hadith, tafsir, fiqh, aqidah, it's difficult to find one that wasn't. Number one, a follower of the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, or Hanbali school in fiqh is not an Ash'ari,
Maturidi or Athari.
Athari in aqidah. Has not been a follower of tasawwuf or spoke positively about it.
Can you name 5 scholars who follow one of the 4 schools or who are Ash'ari or Maturidi? Just, Ahmed, تفضل. Imam Bukhari. What was he in fiqh? Shafi, anyone? In aqidah? Obviously he's a founder, somebody else. Where's the microphone? Don't speak unless you have a microphone. Adam kicks off.
Imam Ghazali.
Imam Ghazali, what was he? And in fiqh? Yes. He didn't recant and turn back to Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a in his deathbed. Anyway, and there's other examples you can think of as well. Okay, can you think of 5 scholars who weren't? That's my challenge. Can you think of 5 scholars who weren't? 5 who weren't. He was Hanbali and a person of tasawwuf. Anybody? Just nobody? That's an open challenge from now until Yawm al-Qiyamah. From now until Yawm al-Qiyamah. By then you might find a few more towards the end of time. Alright. Open challenge. Read.
Can you provide that the vast majority?
Can you prove?
Oh,
Can you? Yeah.
Can you
I
prove?
was watching the match while doing this yesterday.
Can you prove that the vast majority of Sunni Muslims for the vast majority of time have? Number one, not being followers of one of the 4 schools of fiqh. Number 2, not being followers of one of the Ash'ari, Maturidi
school in
schools
Aqidah.
in Aqidah. Number 3, not being a follower / acceptor of Ihsan as known by the science of Usul.
That's an open challenge to those who are here and those listening. Can you prove, alright, prove that the majority of ulama, right, Sunni ulama, okay, have not been followers of one of the 4 schools, have not been followers of the Ash'ari or the Maturidi school, and have not been people who have some kind of adherence of following the tasawwuf? Open challenge. Come back and prove to me that the majority aren't doing that. And I will recant and make tawbah for everything I've taught you. Because I've been teaching you deviance. Because I'd have to. But come and prove it to me. Question is, you can't. Well, you're welcome to try. I gave, who did I give last year? Who did I give the opportunity? Muhammad. I gave him a whole semester. He was open-minded, mashallah. He was open-minded. He wasn't this way or that way. I said, go, research. And then when we got to the second semester, remember I brought him down here. Tell the audience what you found. He goes, I couldn't find anything. Everybody. The majority of ulama, the vast majority of ulama, for the vast majority of the time, follow one of the 4 madhab, follow these schools of aqidah, and were people who are practitioners or spoke favorably about tasawwuf. And to this day, he still can't find anything else. It's history. But you're welcome to try. You're welcome to try. Because many people will have you believe that there's an alternative dimension in which, no, this is true. I don't know where some Marvel universe they live in, where none of this is true. And that's Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, is that the guy who's different dimensions? Come on, don't pretend you don't know. Yeah. Dr. A, he knows. They're lying. They watch it as well. Lying. Doctor Strange. They live in a Doctor Strange universe. Well, none of this is true. Alright, okay, this is interesting. Bismillah.
Historically, scholars have concluded that anyone who doesn't conform to this definition is not from Ahlu Sunnah or Jama'a, despite their claims.
Somebody says, I'm from Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a. Amen. Someone says, I'm from Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a, but I don't follow any of the 4 madhabs, or I do follow madhab, but I don't follow the Ash'aris, or the Maturidis, or the Atharis, the correct Atharis. Am I Ahlu Sunnah? Can you help him? Am I Ahlu Sunnah? That's why I picked you, to wake you up a bit. Somebody says, I'm Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a, but I don't follow the four madhabs. I'm Ahlu Sunnah wal Jama'a, but I follow one of the madhabs, but I don't follow the Ash'arites or the Maturidis, they're deviant. Is he Ahlu Sunnah?
No.
Who said that? Zane? No, the ulama. Despite what you say, we don't judge about what comes out of your mouth, we judge by your understanding, and we weigh you up. According to what the ulama have said. History. History is the biggest witness. Alright, following Ahl Sunnah, you are following the majority. Those that do not conform to this are still Muslim. Those who don't follow any of the four schools or follow the schools of Aqidah, they're still Muslim. But they can't be termed traditionally as Sunni Muslims. But they're still Muslim. And we give them respect. We don't kill them, no. They're still Muslim. Important. I do say, we'll skip past this. Okay, this is, obviously you know this, right? Okay, today's class, this is our one I didn't get to. This is what we're doing today. Bismillah.
What am I required to know in order to fulfill my religious obligations and why?
People say to me, Sheikh, I want to learn Islam. What should I learn first? What is my priority? Some say, I want to memorize the Quran. Okay, interesting. I want to do A, B, and C. What is the priority? What is the first thing you need to learn? Alright? What type of knowledge should you prioritize? The Quran, the Hadith? And what is the rationale for the scholars who say what they're about to say? What are the risks of not knowing this knowledge? And can it be learned without a teacher? Can you do it on TikTok? I hope not. And how do we identify who is an authority and who is not? That's today's class. We're going to look at what's called Fard Ayn and Fard Kafay'ya. These terms are terms that the scholars have written down and have designated as knowledge that every single Muslim, male or female, regardless of who you are, you need to know. That is called what? Fard Ayn. Personally obligatory knowledge. You have to know it. And if you don't know, you get in sin. It's sinful because this is stuff you need to know. For you to function correctly as a Muslim, there are certain things you need to know. And it's not like I just go and pray like my dad prayed, or I just go and believe as my dad told me. No, you've got to know certain things. It's called Fard Ayn. And we're going to look at that, and we're also going to look at Fard Kafay'ya. Fard Kafay'ya. A community obligation. Let's look at the first one, which is the most important. What are the things or the knowledge considered obligatory for every Muslim to know? What are they? It's called Fard Ayn. The knowledge you all need to know is called Fard Ayn. The basic level of knowledge you need to understand to worship Allah is called Fard Ayn. That's what the ulama say. What's Fard Ayn, Jane?
Personally obligatory knowledge, Fard Ayn, which every Muslim is obliged to seek out, is that knowledge by which one can fulfill their obligatory actions, and is found in three areas: fiqh, aqidah, and tasawwuf.
So the ulama, the classical scholars, say every Muslim needs to know a basic level of fiqh. Every Muslim, doesn't matter who, needs to know a basic level of aqidah. Aqidah means your understanding of Allah, the Prophet Muhammad. Very important. And I would say more important in this age, due to the intense, the aggressive atheism and the doubts that you come to you in your faith online and everywhere else. Understanding your aqidah, the correct, and how to respond to different challenges that may come to you, that challenge you fundamentally in your faith. You've got to know your basic aqidah. And then spirituality, tasawwuf. You have to know that. Basic. And it's not very hard to learn. Obviously our classes on Wednesday will go on quite a long time, but it doesn't take long to learn these things. Alright? Not very long. Right, okay. Let's look at the obligations upon Muslims to know. In Aqidah. Okay, Bismillah.
Islamic beliefs, aqidah,
Ash'ariya and Maturidi, one of those schools. What is necessary for Allah, what is possible for Allah, and what is impossible, inconceivable for Allah. That the Aqidah teaches you that. Alright? If you don't know what that means, find a course that teaches you this. Not very hard. Not very hard at all. What is necessary, possible, and impossible for the prophets. There are certain things that prophets have to have necessary attributes. And there are certain attributes which are possible. Again, we've done this before last semester. The beliefs about the transmitted matters, the unseen, angels, heaven and hell, the grave, and so on and so forth. That's the basic aqidah will teach you that. Again, not very difficult to do, alright? Can be done very quickly. It's designed to be done very quickly, but you have to learn it. I would argue most of you here have not done it, with the exception of a few. Who started doing their Fard Ayn? Hands up. Who in the process of doing? Hands up. Hi. Okay, class. I'm going to come to you guys in a minute. But not in the way you know. Alright. Fiqh. What is an obligation upon you in fiqh to know? Number one. Bismillah.
How to perform proper ablution, wudu, and ritual bath.
Ghusl. When do you have to have a ghusl? SubhanAllah. Some people don't know. Misakin. When the above two become necessary and what invalidates. When do you have to have a wudu? When do you have to have a ghusl? What invalidates wudu? What invalidates ghusl? I don't know, but I'm going to look on YouTube. Now you look on YouTube and see where it gets you. How to perform prayer. What's an obligation in prayer? What are the obligations? What is Sunnah? You should know that. How to perform Ramadan around the corner. You've got to know what are the things you have to do in Ramadan. Just wait for the khutbah, or I'll just go online. La, you have to know what makes your fast, how to fast, what to do and what not to do. You should know it. I'm just going to follow my mum and dad. That's not enough. That's not enough. How and when to give zakah? I'm convinced the majority of people don't know how to give zakah. And I'm convinced that people who are meant to give zakah aren't giving zakah because they don't know they have to give zakah, which means you're in sin. Because you haven't learned it. And it's very basic, not very difficult to learn at all. But some of you here could be in sin. It's a whole pillar you're not doing. I didn't know. That's no excuses, you should know. I'm telling you now, you should know. How to perform Hajj. You don't wait until you get to Mecca and you ask people, what do I do? No, you learn how to do Hajj. You learn how to do Umrah before you go there, because you can go there and you can do something that invalidates all of your Hajj as soon as you get there. And you can't do anything about it except you're going to wait till next year. I just spent 10 grand, £10,000. What do I do? You're going to wait till next year. But I didn't know. That's your fault. You should learn. How to engage in sound and valid business transactions and marriage. Important. The fiqh of marriage, the rules of marriage. You have to know that. Anyway, Bismillah.
One must know and fulfill the rights of others.
The rights of others to know. Fard Ayn.
The rights of one's parents. The rights of one's children, the rights of one's spouse, the rights of one's neighbours, the rights of one's guests.
I'll come to your house one day as a guest. Let's find out if you know it or not. Alright, and now with the disease of the heart, tasawwuf, Sufism.
One must know the heart's sins/diseases so that they can abstain from them, for example.
This is a science or a knowledge that has been completely avoided. And I would say you guys are starving of this. You need this. I need it, but you guys need it more. Yeah, that makes sense. Not that you know what I mean. Yeah. Don't worry, people are going to take it wrong anyway. Those who want to take it wrong will take it wrong, and those who have to know them have to know them. Ayo,
What is pride? How is it cured? What is ostentation?
Riyah, showing off, riyah.
What is conceit, jealousy, arrogance?
These are all diseases of the heart that you all have, including myself. They're haram, by the way. The Prophet said nobody goes to heaven who has a mustard seed of arrogance. A mustard seed. How much more for those whose hearts are full of arrogance? Haram. Therefore, the ulama say it's an obligation to know the disease of the heart. The only tasawwuf teach you this. Imam Ghazali teach you this. Well, you can hear if you go on TikTok and Instagram on certain places, haram, this is bid'ah. Haram is you not learning it. Wallahi, haram is you not learning it. That's what's haram. A bid'ah is you not learning it. That's a bid'ah. Huh? Tell you, man.
Praiseworthy states of the heart, mercy, love, humility, etc.
Mercy, love, humility, respect, tolerance. Very important. Okay. I spent a long time on the weekend doing this. How read?
In short, it is obligatory to know how to fulfill all obligations and to refrain from disobedience, outwardly and inwardly, according to one's circumstances.
All of that is summarized there. You have to find somebody that can teach you this, and we'll talk about that later on, inshallah, before we finish. Alright, community obligation. As for those knowledges that go beyond what we've just mentioned, a community obligation. There are obligations that are on the community, not for every single person. We don't want every single person being a scholar. We don't want every single person being a doctor, or an engineer, or a scientist, or an accountant. No, we don't need everybody. But we need certain people to do it.
This means that some individuals in each community must know the related rulings, thus sufficing the others from seeking such knowledge.
If certain people do it, it's enough. Not everybody needs to do it.
If no one takes on this task, everyone who has the ability will be sinful for abandoning this responsibility. For example, scholars, engineers, doctors, teachers, and everything that society needs to function.
The knowledge of these individuals is called a Fard Kafay'ya, community. If a certain amount of people have that knowledge, great. Not everybody needs to be a doctor, not everybody needs to be a scientist, not everybody needs to be whatever they need to be. If there's certain people, that's enough. Alright? We'll move on. Alright, this is interesting. This is interesting. What are the benefits of studying Fard Ayn? The guys and girls who had their hands up. Alright. I'm going to give you examples. Alright, here I read. Actually, give it to Ahmed. Microphone, Ahmed. Where's the microphone? Quickly. Pay attention. Father, raise your voice. Microphone on.
It illuminates all your dealings in terms of worship and also in dealing with people. You know what to do and what not to do, and when something happens, you know what happened. Outwardly, it puts your priorities straight.
Microphone.
You get to know what's Fard and what's Sunnah, what you can let go of, and when you need to choose between Fard and Sunnah, you choose Fard. Inwardly, I think when I started to study spirituality, I started to feel bad, because now I know how I should be, and it's not how I should be. So I feel bad that I'm not that way.
It's not familiar? That's what he said. That's what he said. It took a long time doing this weekend. I chose him as an example. He's not the only one, by the way. You know, don't worry, there's a few more. Those of you who got a message saying, make sure you're here tonight, I used you and you're quoting you. That's why I wanted you here tonight. So that's what he said. After learning Fard Ayn, that's what he benefited. Illuminates priorities. For me, what struck from what he said, inwardly, when I started to study spirituality, I started to feel bad. Because now I know how I should be. I shouldn't have arrogance or hate or this or all these other diseases in the heart. I shouldn't have them. So I know how I should be, and it's not how I am. So that makes me feel bad, which is great. But now obviously you move on and make yourself better. That's a case study for somebody who started to study Fard Ayn and saw the benefits. He's not here tonight, but this is Ibrahim. Alright, maybe you can read as his assistant. This is Ibrahim, the good friend. Put the microphone on, put it near your mouth.
It's massively beneficial. My life has changed because I feel more comfortable as a Muslim. It's improved my life. I feel in control as a Muslim. I thought I knew what I was doing when I studied, but when I studied fiqh and Bida, you study the reality of the deen. You've been following, you begin to understand much more about its essence, its foundations, and therefore you feel more connected spiritually with it. The combination of being taught fiqh and Bida is so to understand that I am nowhere near the level of knowledge that I should be. It makes you humble. My knowledge has increased tenfold, however. How big I see myself has also decreased by the same amount.
So he said it made him humble. Alright, he's not here tonight. That's dear brother Ibrahim. May Allah bless him.
Amen.
Next. Ayman, microphone.
I know how to navigate life more easily.
Come on, man, put a bit more than you.
I know how to navigate life more easily. Because you don't need to ask or open a book. It's influenced my decisions in life and what I want to do. And the person that I want to be as well, according to Islamic law.
Have I spelled your name correctly?
What a surprise, yeah.
Good. That's what he said he took from learning Fard Ayn. All these are beautiful. And mashallah, that's why I'll put it here. Ali, get the microphone, this is you. Word, you are reading what you mentioned last 2 weeks ago. I'll put the microphone close to your mouth.
It gave a lot more focus. I think this has changed as well. As our focus, the focus was all over the place. Now it's a lot more focused on the future. A lot more confident in acts of worship. I'm not as easily distracted as I was before. I'm not as uncertain as I was. I'm not as easily unfocused and distracted. Acts of worship now have a spirit.
MashaAllah. And last, but have I spelled your name right? Yeah, WhatsApp me later, I'll change it, alright? And last, by no means least, Shahid. Alright, you have 2 pages. Put the microphone close to your mouth. All of these are people who've studied their Fard Ayn and the benefits that they've seen and the experiences that they felt and the differences in their life. Listen, okay?
What changed was that I stopped taking Islam from YouTube. That's the main.
Slow down, go on. Give it it's hack.
That's the main thing for me. YouTube, there was a lot of confusion, and it doesn't give you anything spiritually. Yes, people get motivated by a talk on a particular topic, but that's it. It dies out. It's not spiritual because it dies off. It's short term. Before fiqh, I didn't know any rulings, and anyone could come up to me and say this, and I would believe them. Now I don't think people can do that anymore. Spiritually, I'm very calm. Before I was stressed out because everything that I saw on YouTube was haram everywhere. It stressed me out. That was my experience. Even my family members close to me, they have said that I have changed. Calm, composed, understanding of other people. I'm flexible. If I see other people something different, I don't say first it's haram or anything against them because before I didn't know the understanding of it. Now I know. I'm more tolerant because before I was intolerant, not tolerant at all, to be honest.
It was takfiri.
When I started coming to the classes at first, I didn't want to come to the classes. Maybe lazy, I don't know. But in the classes, I felt something. I was spiritually at ease. My Iman was strong because I was learning the proper way, the classical way, and nobody can come up to me and say this, and I say, okay, like before, I'm more confident. Understanding myself more now. Before I was judging the outwards, now I judge inwards. Culturally, I was a particular way. Now I look down upon other people.
He said that. I'm glad he's being honest, you know?
I learned there are schools. It made me more tolerant.
Right. I spelled your name right, eh? Okay. All right. Very beautiful. And I want that for all of you guys here and those listening to experience what they're experiencing. Critical thinking. Let's look at this. Look, man. Where's the microphone?
Do you think the man whom the Prophet warned us about in the hadith or the people in the news we have read of these qualities mentioned by these brothers and sisters?
What do you think? The hadith we spoke about 2 weeks ago, the man who learned the Quran and took it the wrong way, misunderstood it and went killed, tried to kill killed his neighbor, or all those people in the news, do you think All right, but all of those people have the same qualities or experiences that those brothers and sisters have. Jamie says no. Why?
All of the news stories reference other people, and the man in the hadith picked up a sword towards his neighbor, someone other than himself, and Shahid specifically mentioned
The ex-takfiri.
specifically mentioned judging inwardly instead of outwardly, and all of those other cases are judging outwardly.
All right, girls, would you like to weigh in? One of you, please weigh in. This is the point where one of you gets the microphone and tries to. Very simple question. Do you think yes or no? Do you think those people who we've read up tonight, those news articles, those people who have gone to kill people and do all those horrible things, do you think their experience of Islam, their quality they've seen, their understanding of Islam, what it's given them, is the same as these guys or not?
No.
Why?
Because they didn't go into the kind of knowledge sorry, I'll take that anymore.
All right, explain a bit more. You're there. Just explain a bit more.
Yeah, like he didn't have, they didn't have like the knowledge that like, alhamdulillah, we got from like my madrasa.
Okay, all right. Here's an interesting question. Are you ready for this one?
Why are some Muslims opposed to such classes despite all these methods?
I will repeat that again. Why are some Muslims, here and there, more here than there, all right, are opposed to such classes? Even though it's given tolerance, respect, it's given you a deeper understanding, it's given you calmness. As Iman said, it's helped him to be the person he's going to be. This type of knowledge has helped you. None of this knowledge, none of these classes are going to encourage you to go kill people, or, before that, to think other Muslims are kafir. These classes don't give you that. Traditional classical Islam does not give you that. But yet, we have people who don't want these classes and actively persuade people from coming to these classes. Na'am la. Yes or true, be honest. Truth has to be told, you have to be honest. You can answer that in your own time, but think about it in your own time. We're going to move on. Bismillah. Alright, hey, Bismillah. Jamie.
Okay, you have convinced me of the need to learn my Fard Ayn, but where do I
begin? I need someone to teach me. Do you not? So what do I look for in a teacher? I need to learn how to pray correctly. I need to learn my aqidah basic. I need to learn spirituality to clear my heart. I need to learn. Where do I go? Who is going to teach me? You need a teacher. But can you learn it without a teacher? I get a book. I read it at home. Is that going to help you to remove arrogance from your heart? I read Imam Ghazali's works. No. MashaAllah, Imam Ghazali, MashaAllah. It's not enough. Can I read a book? No. Can I get it from Google and TikTok? I think I've answered that one. Khalas, I mean, we killed it. Alright? If you think you can learn Islam on TikTok and Instagram, I don't know what to do. Maybe you fell asleep. You didn't get the memo. So where do we go? What's the next step? Alright, this is important. Here's where you guys wake up. Can you tell the difference between the following? A qualified scholar, an alim, a preacher, person of da'wah, and a qualified scholar, but in one particular field. Think about it. I'm going to pick somebody out. You at the back. What's your name? Mustafa. MashaAllah. Give Mustafa, the chosen one, the microphone. I'll give you Give you a second for your heartbeats to get back to where it was before, inshallah. Alright? Very important topic. Can you tell the difference between a qualified scholar, an alim, or a person of da'wah online, and somebody who's a qualified scholar in one particular field? Go ahead, Muslim. Microphone right to your mouth. A bit more closer.
I'm not really sure. Is it on?
Well, take have a go. How can you tell who's a scholar and someone who doesn't have da'wah? Let's do that, make it easy. Let's do one and two. There you go.
Explain hadith.
So this is number one, number two.
Number one.
Can you explain hadith?
We can explain them and sort of help them integrate your life.
Bit closer, please.
Things might help you integrate Quran verse and hadith
Into your life. Like, so what you're saying, I've understood that the person of da'wah can't do that. They can. All right. Okay. Yes. Girls. Thank you very much. Not you. You. Yes. Give it a microphone. I don't know. What's your name? No, you yet. Safa. Yes. This is a massively important topic. How can you tell the difference between a scholar and somebody who's a person of da'wah? No da'wah doing da'wah online or whatever. Is there a difference? What's the difference? With the micro, right?
I guess the scholar actually studies the Quran. I know the person on da'wah does.
Okay.
The scholar more in depth, so they have a more in depth knowledge.
Okay, here we go. So a scholar will have more in-depth knowledge. Who brought these? Oh no. We can have a donut. As a reward, I'll get a donut. Inshallah. That's what's on offer. Alright, mashallah, I'll give her a donut. Okay, next, somebody else. Give him the microphone. Give him the microphone. The question, as we just mentioned,
The same question.
how can you tell the difference between an alim and a person of da'wah? تفضل يحيى. يا يحيى خذ الكتاب. خذ المايكروفون.
I think qualified scholar refers back to one of the whole madhabs.
Okay. All right, mashallah alayh. Follow someone who is proficient or follows one of the four madhabs. Okay, great. But does that mean that the person of da'wah doesn't follow one of the madhabs?
The person of da'wah refers to the whole madhabs as well.
All of them?
No, not really all.
Right,
There's a difference.
Uh-huh.
But a qualified scholar as well spends most of the time, maybe the duration is more time for the learning for the qualified scholar than the person of da'wah. A person of da'wah may spend a year or two learning Islam.
Person of da'wah spends a year or two learning Islam. He's been generous. I think some of them haven't even done that, to be honest, but he's been generous. Maybe the people of da'wah in Egypt, but everywhere else probably not even studying at all. Excellent. What's your name? Abdul Rahman. Give Abdul Rahman the microphone. The difference between an alim and a person of da'wah. Is every person of da'wah an alim? No. Okay?
So as the Yahya mentioned, every qualified scholar just spend most of his time for the deen. But
spending most of his time for the deen. The person of da'wah says, Hayati, the deen.
No.
Or why not?
Like basically the person of da'wah is already following one of the qualified scholars. But he's not spending that at the same time, like studying the deen, understanding everything. Maybe he knows a lot, but it's not going to be the same like the qualified scholar.
Okay. Bismillah, give answer the microphone. Thank you for coming. Don't worry, inshallah. No, not here. Go to the mosque next week. Tarawih.
A qualified scholar can do
Okay. The qualified scholar can do ijtihad. Ijtihad is the ability to go to the Quran and to the Sunnah and derive. Every alim can do that. Every scholar can do ijtihad.
For the madhab that they adhere to.
Okay, so what you're trying to say that there's a level of knowledge, of expertise in fiqh that individual will have, but the second individual doesn't have. Okay, I'll take that. Hold on. Where's the microphone?
Is it maybe that the qualified scholar has expertise in at least in one or more fields? The person of dawah, not really expert, maybe a jack of all trades, but
A jack of all trades.
And also, they spend most of their time practicing different skill sets. So the scholar might be more on the academic side, whereas the person of dawah might spend most of his time talking to people, thinking about how to deliver the message. The scholars were concerned with maybe teaching people academic pursuits.
Right? Okay. In the interest of time, I'll leave the third one. All right. Someone who Islam is a hobby. They like talking about Islam, lecturing. They've got their own YouTube channel, they've got their own Instagram channel, and they haven't learnt on any alim. Nor do they say that they're scholars. But mashallah, everyone's listening. And they talk about technical things. On X or Instagram or TikTok, they talk about things that our experts should talk about, that they have no experience. And there's a lot of that. I would say a large percentage of the people your generation currently listen to would fall into number 4. Alright? Possibly number 2. I would say the majority of the people your generation listens to on TikTok and Instagram do not even hit number 1. They don't. Well, I've seen it. And at the end of tonight, you may be able to understand why I'm saying that. Right, let's move on. Alright, go ahead.
Most just look at who appears scholarly in appearance or speech, and of course, who has the largest followers, likes on social media.
Is that true or not true? Sheikh so-and-so has 20,000 people, or 2 million people, or has his own program on TV, or is very famous, or mashallah, he talks about topics that are moving, relevant topics. There. Is he a scholar? More importantly, does he have to be a scholar? I would argue yes, because at some point, he's going to talk about something that only scholars should talk about, and they are going to confuse you. But you don't know.
How to recognize who is an authority and who is not when it comes to Islam, Iman, and Ihsan.
Alright, this is the most important thing. Please try and stay awake. This is perhaps the most important part of the whole 20 lectures or whatever we've done so far. Alright. Let's skip that. Ask yourself the following questions. Yusuf, whose interpretation are you following? No, I'm going to ask. Hypothetical or rhetorical. Are they qualified? How do you know? What credentials should someone have before you start to listen to them? And what should we be on the lookout for? And the last thing, what are the red flags? That's what we're going to do. Finish off, inshallah. Just bear with me. Very important that you pay attention, inshallah. So, what credentials should a scholar have? Bismillah. Jamie.
To be confident that you are receiving a proper, authentic answer to a question on Islam, you must ascertain the credentials of any speaker.
So first of all, you want to listen to somebody? First thing you have to do is this. And you may think, oh, you're making it too difficult. No, I'm not. I'm trying to make your life easy. Alright?
We have spent last semester answering the following question of how Allah has preserved this faith. A good starting point is therefore to see if the speaker follows one of the 4 schools of fiqh correctly, accepts the Ash'aris, Maturidis as valid and correct schools on Aqidah, recognizes the validity and importance of the science of Ihsan as exemplified by the science of Tasawwuf. Don't be shy to ask these questions. This is your faith.
So, as a starting point now, based on everything we've been doing for weeks, that now you should have an idea of, right, I want to study classical Islam according to the vast majority. I know what the vast majority have been following. Now you have a measurement of now how what to look out for. Very easy. So I've made half your problems disappear already. Just if you did that. If you looked around at the horizon of the various people talking and competing for your hearts and minds, and you look at them and say, which of them fit here? 90% of the most popular speakers will disappear. 90% will disappear. Shahid, correct or not? And don't be shy to ask these questions. Alright, bismillah. Alright, we'll leave this. We don't have time for that. Alright, credentials. Alright, I want you to take a screenshot of this at the end of this slide. Alright, this will assist you greatly and save you a lot of time and headache and confusion and takfir and probably a prison sentence. You know?
On top of this, we should also ask the following questions. Where did he/she study? Country and institution? How many years? Who are their teachers? What are their qualifications? What's their field of expertise? Hadith, fiqh, hafid, tajweed. Classically trained or modern Islamic/Western university? Even if they have academic qualifications, are these combined with the study of classical texts? Do they understand the context and culture of the place he is issuing a ruling for? Are they currently actively practicing?
Please, everyone take your phone out and take a screenshot of that, everyone. You've kept the donuts up there. I only said one donut, not all of them. I can spread them around. Everybody take a picture of that, because at the end, you're going to look at that, and I'm going to give you some, we'll do a very brief workshop, very quickly, in which you're going to need that. Alright? And please also, read that part.
And the greatest question we should be concerned with is, do they have a sanad, unbroken chain of transmission? Do they have
Ijazah.
Permission/authority/license to teach?
Please take a picture of that as well. Everybody take your phones out, take a picture of that on your phone. Those who don't, I'm going to ask you a question later. Take a phone, take a picture. You're going to need that at the end. So, as well as those other questions, two key issues you need to be looking out for in anybody you want to take your Islam from. As well as what we've just read, these two issues are important. A sanad, an unbroken chain of transmission back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And ijazah. Ijazah is not on holiday in this context. Ijazah means permission to teach. Every alim should have a sanad and ijazah. But be careful, as we're about to. So what is a sanad? What is ijazah? Read.
One of the unique attributes of Islam, having a continuous and unbroken sanad chain with respect to transmission, understanding, and spiritual purification. An unbroken chain of teachers who are traced back to the Prophet ﷺ in fiqh, aqidah, tasawwuf, hadith, Quran, and even dawah.
So, a sanad is an unbroken chain of transmission. The knowledge that you get from the Sheikh, he got it from his Sheikh, who got it from his Sheikh, who got it from their Sheikh, all the way back. Hence, it's called a chain of you're connected through a chain of transmission back to the Prophet 1,446 years ago. And every single knowledge, you take knowledge from scholars who have this chain of transmission. Are you with me?
Amongst the special features of the classical Islamic education system approach is that its sciences and knowledge disciplines are passed down and transmitted from generation to generation, which constitute a continuous and unbroken chain of religious scholars and practitioners. Every generation receives from the generation preceding it a continuous chain and uninterrupted understanding.
You understand that? The benefit of taking knowledge from scholars who've been taught by scholars who've been taught by scholars. That protects you from what? If you take knowledge from these individuals, you are protected. Why? Look, man. Give him the microphone.
You're protected from new things being introduced.
New things are introduced, or new interpretations that can't be traced back to the Prophet. Anything else? Quickly? Anybody? No? Right, let's move on. Alright. Here, someone can claim that they have a sanad. Please, this is important. People can claim they have it. However, it's not directly back to the Prophet. It goes back to certain scholars. It's important for you guys, right? Don't be fooled by that. Alright, Ijazah. Ijazah, Bismillah.
None of the students who follow this approach will venture to take up leading positions, except after receiving knowledge and keeping long company with scholars, until they grant him permission or a formal license in transmitting, especially hadith narrations, teaching, writing, and imparting knowledge.
So you guys come to university, and you learn from a teacher. And that teacher's qualified. Why? Because they took it from a teacher. Yeah? And at the end of the semester, some of you, all of you, will do an exam, and you get the qualification, and you wear a thobe with a hat, mashallah, that they took from the Muslims when you graduate. That's true, they took it from the Muslims. That's your ijazah. When you get your certificates, your degree, that's your ijazah. The same thing happens in Islam. In fact, the Western education system took it from the Muslims. But we don't know anything about our past. So there we go. Important, huh?
Should you inquire from one of them as to his teachers, he will mention a number of them. Try it out.
So when you come across individuals who've been trained in a classical way, and you ask them about their teachers, they'll be able to mention a number of teachers they took Islam from. Try it out. Number 2.
Should you ask him how long he has spent in the company of his teachers, of his teacher or teachers, he will say that he has spent a long time in that company.
Try it out. Ask these people that you take Islam from. Ask these TikTok people or Instagram people or fulan on YouTube. Ask them, where are the ulama? How many scholars? How long did they study for? Ask. Nothing wrong.
Until he understood and comprehended from them the methodology of understanding and the entries to knowledge.
Alright. So what are the non-traditional, the non-classical approaches? What does that look like? And this is important. Because many people fall into this category. And thousands, if not millions of people follow these type of individuals. So what are these individuals like?
This is contrary to the other approaches / interpretations which are broken and interrupted or only go back to one or two scholars from the past, not to the Prophet. In this case, a student will take a leading position without keeping company with the scholars.
True or not true? Do we not see this? Ahmed, do we see it?
And should you ask one of them how much time did he spend in the company of his teacher, he will tell you that he had only met him once, or that he has only spent a limited number of hours with him.
At best. At best. Online as well, online. How is it possible for him to have obtained knowledge, ilm, and how can his understanding be entrusted if he hasn't sat with many people of ilm? And those he has sat with, he sat with for a brief period of time. You haven't taken knowledge. Right, all right, I want to move on. Skip that one.
Isnad unbroken chain of transmission is part of the religion, and if it was not for Isnad, people would have said whatever they desired.
This is important. This is the age. This is online. This is the media, social media world. Isnad is part of religion. Isnad, unbroken chain of transmission back to the Prophet. And if it wasn't for Isnad, people would have said whatever they wanted. And that's social media. People without a chain of transmission saying whatever they want. One day hijab is part of Islam, one day hijab is not part of Islam. One day homosexuality is okay, another day it's not okay. People are going to change because you have no chain of transmission. You are broken. You're not connected to the Prophet. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Today, the biggest challenge in learning Islam correctly is the scarcity of traditional ulama.
There's not many traditionally trained scholars. What does that mean, Eva?
In this meaning, Bukhari relates the Sahih, rigorously authenticated hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said,
Truly, Allah does not remove sacred knowledge by taking it out of servants, but rather by taking back the souls of the ulama. They died, the scholars begin to die one by one, until when he has not left a single scholar. And in that situation, the people take ignorant leaders who are asked for and give an Islamic legal opinion, a fatwa, without any knowledge. They're misguided and they misguide others. That's a sign of the end of time. Do we think that that's starting to happen now? Hands up, who believes that we're already there? Great. Well, not great, but great people understood it, obviously. Yeah. Okay, red flags. What to look out for. These qualities are things you should be focusing on, and if anybody has any of these qualities or these attributes who you are currently listening to, my opinion, stop listening. So what are the red flags you need to be on the lookout for in terms of you learning your Islam? A long list, sadly, but there we go.
Those who call other Muslims kafir, takfir, where they declare other Muslims as non-Muslims, regard anyone that doesn't agree with them as deviant. Those who preach hatred of non-Muslims and of other Muslim sects. People who use the terms shirk, worship of anything besides Allah, bid'ah, see previous slides, loosely and frequently.
Those who promote division amongst Muslims. Those who regard themselves, they're the only Muslims, they're the right Muslims, everybody else is going to hell. Those who want to reinterpret everything to suit their views. Those who criticize and argue with everyone and anybody, while refusing to listen to other people. Those who speak ill and disrespectfully of well-known scholars, especially ulama who died. Alright? Those who don't have a Sunnah or Ijazah, but or claim to have it, but their methodology is against the majority. Alright? Or those who say they've never heard of madhabs. Madhabs? What's that? That's a person you move away from because it doesn't know anything about their faith. Someone that advocates abandoning madhabs. We don't follow madhabs. Follow Quran and Sunnah. Red flag. Why? Because the majority of this ummah have followed one of the four madhabs. That's a red flag. Or somebody who, for you, la madhabiyya, follows a madhab but has a la madhabiyya approach. What does that mean? It means what? I follow the Hanbali school. But whenever I find a stronger dalil, or the Shaykh tells me the stronger dalil is there, I'm going to abandon the Hanbali school, throw it over there, and follow the dalil. We spent hours talking about this in the past. I'm not going to go into it today, but we know that's a red flag. Right? And those who want to sit privately, I will continue to do that. But that's a red flag. Because that's not the classical way of learning Islam. That's something new. Simply saying, go back to the Quran and the Sunnah. Again, that's a red flag. Sheikh, are you saying we don't follow Quran and Sunnah? I'm saying we follow Quran and Sunnah. What I'm saying, according to who? Who? That's an open statement. And I've told you what the guy in prison said to me. That statement took him to prison. Follow Quran and Sunnah. According to who? Or claim that the Ash'aris and the Maturidis are deviants, despite the majority of ulama following them, or say that the way of the Salaf, or say that it is not the way of the Salaf, but following my Shaykh, or following my group, that's the way of the Salaf. Follow me, follow my Shaykh, follow my group, that is the way of the Salaf. Or the red flags, or saying the same thing, but people say, the ulama, they made mistakes, or a lot of ulama made mistakes. That's a red flag. So we've just led Islam, now we're going to say that a majority, thousands of scholars, they made some mistakes. Like a polite way of saying it. Alright, so is bid'ah has no place in Islam, that's a red flag. People that have gone, this is important for you guys. Read out.
People that have gone to recognised classical institutions but don't represent the methodology taught.
Listen carefully. Let's say, this is a sad occurrence, but some people will go to Azhar. MashaAllah, Azhar, MashaAllah. But they've gone there for the certificate. They've gone there for the prestige. Azhar is like Cambridge or Harvard in the Muslim world. And rightly so. Better than Cambridge, better than Oxford and all these other places, because it's a place of Islam. Not the only place, but one of the places. But it has a prestige, it has a status. If you're an Azhari, it has status. What's happened in the past 30 years is that people have gone there for the certificate. They've gone there to use the status. But they don't represent the methodology of the school. They don't represent the history of that institution. So not every Azhari is someone you should take from. And the Azharis tell you that themselves. Sheikh Zane Abdo, Amir Azhari say it's a problem. People have gone in there. In fact, Sheikh Azhari, you hear the Sheikh Azhari? He said that there are people, who come from certain groups who send their children to Azhar and tell them, Ya Ibni, learn from them, but don't keep it here, but not here. Just take from it, learn from it, to pass the exam, and then I'll teach you outside Aqidah, Ahlu, Sunnah, Jama'a. I'll teach you fiqh. Just go get the certificate, imtihan, and khalas. Sheikh Osama Asadi is saying that. That's what's happened. Now they've started to deal with it. They've started to close it down. And there's people, mashallah, it's a whole history. I don't have time to go into. Okay, Azhari graduates that criticize the Ash'aris. He's Azhari, but he's going to criticize the Ash'ari school. But the Azhari university is based on Ash'aris. And Azhari who says don't follow madhabs. Bizarre. How? Because he's gone there for the certificate. He's gone there just to get the status. And then, what's written there? And the ulama calling it out now. Alhamdulillah. I'll keep going, Jamie. We've nearly finished.
Those who don't prioritise learning Fard Ayn at all, but rather Fard Kafay'ya subjects despite Kafay'ya. Subjects despite people being with them for years and months. Claim to follow classical texts, but by scholars that are not representative of the classical tradition.
I don't have time to go into all of these parts, but Bismillah. You can look at it in your own time and we can talk about it privately. Okay, finish off now?
Or anything else that goes against what the vast majority of Muslims, the vast majority of Islamic history have followed, then you should be careful.
That's a summary. Alright. Keep going.
Faith is based on knowledge, so be careful from where you take your faith from. Taking knowledge from unqualified sources can and are having devastating results in our faith and lives.
Do you agree? You all agree?
Yes.
Good.
Organizations responsible for teaching Muslims should be extra wary, as they are responsible for the decisions they make in front of Allah. Who do you take your knowledge from? Right.
Okay. Here do we end off. What's at stake is a donut. Inshallah. Alright, you've done the screenshot on your phone. Inshallah, we're gonna do a very important exercise. Very important exercise. You don't have to get up, sit where you are. On your phone, get that the screenshot you took before. Whatever screenshot you took. The screenshot of the slides, not some screenshot of yesterday. You'll have it? What's it say?
Credentials.
That's what, there's 2 screenshots.
Credentials.
Huh?
Credentials.
Credentials. Right. Alright! Are we all paying attention? Umar? Looking very sleepy. So I'm going to remedy that now. Right. You've got that in front of you. Okay. Shouldn't have done that. But anyway, alright. Use what you've got there, credentials. I want you to, Jamie, read it out. And Umar, you're going to use the credentials there to point out if this individual meets the credentials. Ah.
Born in the UK, University of Liverpool with a degree in pharmacology. Spent 9 years in Yemen, in the historical town of Tarif, Hadramaut, and the famous Dar ul Mustafa school.
It's a bit different, but let me do it for you, alright? Inshallah. We'll use it at the end. His teachers have an unbroken chain transmission back to the Prophet, known as Sunnah. So the Arabic, Aqidah, Sirah, Tasawwuf, the methodology of Da'wah, Tafsir, Hadith, and other sciences, receiving permission to transmit what he has been taught, with a specialization in the Shafi'i school, being trained to give fatwa. His teachers were Habib Mashur, the Mufti of Tarim, Habib Umar bin Hafiz, the head of Dar Mustafa, Habib Ali al-Jafri, Habib Muhammad al-Aydurus, Habib Qadim al-Saqaf, Sheikh Muhammad al-Khatib, Sheikh Salim al-Bahrish, Sheikh Salih al-Muqtaran, Sheikh Hussein al-Haddad, Sheikh Salim Kharisa, Sheikh Abdullah bin Uthman, and Sheikh Salim al-Khatib. He also studied Shafi'i fiqh and tafsir and seerah at Rabat Tarim with Habib Abu Bakr bin Faqih, who is currently the head of the Rabat. Has ijazahs in all subjects that he was taught, having permission to teach. Right, Umar, I'm giving you credentials. What's the first credential?
Where did he study?
Can you tell me where this person studied?
Islamic studies in Yemen.
Alright, good. Next one.
How many years?
How many years?
9 years.
Okay, good. Next.
Where are their teachers? All the teachers he listed.
Keep going. What else?
What are their qualifications? Ijazah.
Anything else?
Qualification center.
Ah, it's Umar. He took a dome. Good. What else?
Shafi'i fiqh.
What about it? Where's the microphone?
Being able to give
Repeat that again to the microphone.
being able to give fatwa in Shafi'i fiqh.
Okay, anything else on the list to look out for, credentials?
Classically trained.
Classically trained?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Field of expertise would be fiqh.
Okay, anything else? On your list, credentials?
Are they currently actively practicing?
Inshallah, we bash.
Do they understand the context and culture of the place he's issuing ruling for?
Maybe.
Even if they have academic qualifications, so he's combined with the study of possible texts.
Yeah, I'm saying. Anything else? Right, and skip to the next.
They have a sanad?
Have Senate?
Yes.
Anything else?
They have ijazah? Yes.
Alright. Bismillah. That's a useful exercise. An easy one. Well, that was easy. Alright, how about this one? Who can we do? Oh, you get a donut, by the way. You get a donut. Half a donut, by the way. Take a donut, you got it right? Alright, grab the box. Don't eat all of them. Alright, sisters. That was a big one. Second example. Alright. Read this. One of you girls. You. Your name. Keep off your name. Give her the microphone. By the way, in Arabic, Fulan means so and so. Right? So Sheikh Fulan, I've made a name. Sheikh Fulan studied and graduated from Azhar University, mashallah. Right? And teaches that the Ash'ari Aqidah is wrong. And they made mistakes. Right. Look at your credentials. What can you tell me about this now? What's the first credential?
So, the only credential
But look, close to your voice, recording.
the only credential that he has is that he graduated from Ashford University.
Okay, great. Anything else? What don't we know? What is it that we don't know?
We don't know how many years.
How many years? We don't know. Okay, it's a problem.
We don't know who is the teacher.
We don't know the teachers.
We don't know their qualifications.
We don't know the qualifications.
We don't know their field of expertise.
And the field of expertise. What kind of. Is there any other red flags though in that?
Yeah, the fact that he said that
Ash'ari school
is wrong.
is wrong, which is that's what Azhar teaches you.
Yeah.
Red flag. Like, okay. Give it a. You get donuts, huh? Any more donuts left there? Take a donut. Alright, back to you guys. Who wants to do the next one? Luqman, alright. No, I'll leave you, not yet. The Jama'a over here. Ahlu Sunna wa Jama'a. I will give you the microphone. Hold on. Give them the microphone. The wrong way. There you go. Next one. Studied the Hanafi madhab, mashallah. But the Sheikh, he's a Sheikh, sorry, he can teach you all 4 schools. That's his credential. Yeah. Alright, nice and easy. Easy donut. Should I give you the donut now? Like the Premier League, just give it to Liverpool already. Put the microphone to your mouth.
We have no idea where they studied.
Ayo.
How? We really don't have anything.
Exactly. Nothing, huh? Give him a donut. Nice and easy. Alright. How about this one? Yusuf. This is for you. It's going to get a bit more trickier, by the way. Yusuf. Give me some microphone. Sheikh Fulan, his credentials are studied all 4 madhabs. Can you tell me anything?
It's impossible. Study all 4.
Okay, yes. Why?
Because it takes around 10 to 12 years just for one madhab.
Yeah, I need 8 or 9, 6 or 7, yeah. But yeah.
So to do all 4 is.
Okay, good. Anything else though?
We still don't know how many years he taught.
Who taught him, where he got taught, who his teachers are, nothing at all. How about this one? Keep with you. You get a full donut, by the way. Sheikh Fulan, who's 34 years of age, has studied 2 madhabs and is an expert. That's all you have.
Expert according to who?
I don't know. That's what it
We
says.
don't know his teachers. We don't know how long he's been teaching.
Nothing at all. How about this one? Sisters. Who wants to go? Who wants to have a look? For a donut. Any more donuts left here? Alright, you go. What can you tell me? Sheikh Fulan, mashallah alayh, has studied the Islamic sciences. Not science, sciences, plural. And has ijazahs. S. Allah. All the buzzwords. Huh? All the buzzwords there. طيب. Look at your credentials. What can you tell me?
We don't know where he studied, how many years, who his teachers are. The Ijazah might be to scholars, not to prophets.
What was that about Ijazah?
It might be to the scholars, not to the prophets.
Okay, yes. It might only go to practice in school. Right? Okay. Anything else to say? Islamic sciences, hey! The man studied Islamic sciences. MashaAllah alayh. You're laughing, but how many of you are listening to people? I'm not making this up. Wallahi, these are things I've taken from online, from individuals. I won't say who they are. These people you guys follow. You guys don't scrutinize. You guys are sitting there laughing. You're laughing at yourselves because you guys follow these individuals. Right? Keep going. Anything else?
Even if they have the qualifications, are these combined with the study of gospel text?
Do you know what he studied? Nothing at all. Alright, This is a more difficult one now. Who's ready for this? Look, man, this is for you. Take a donut. Sheikh Fulan, memorize the Quran, mashallah, and read with the 10 qira'at, mashallah, all the different variations of qira'at, and has ijazah in Quran memorization in 4 out of the 10 qira'at. Hang on. Has ijazah for general Islamic teaching. Ijazah in Islamic creed. And ijazah in Islamic Sharia and fatwa. Bismillah, what are the credentials? You can tell me.
Well, you said the issues.
Tell me what credentials are there?
Okay, so
what are there? What's missing?
he claims that he's a hafiz, and that he's able to read the generations.
Let's give that one. Let's think they've got that one.
Then he says he can, he's a hafiz in 4 narrations, and he has ijazah, which isn't verified claim.
So what would you do?
Who gave him the ijazah?
Okay, so who gave him the ijazah? Alright, that's useful. By the way, I'm not saying that individuals don't have these things. What I'm saying is to get you to think. Get you to think more deeply, to scrutinize who you're taking Islam from, and to ask questions that need to be asked. That the individual should have no problem in answering. Keep going.
He has a general Islamic teaching, but what is that? That's not
Okay, hang on a minute. What are you saying?
What is general Islamic teaching?
What's general Islamic teaching? General Islamic sciences. What's that mean? Who can tell me? General and Islamic studies. And the one before it, what did it say? Islamic sciences. What can you tell me? What is it? Is it fiqh? Is it aqidah? Is it hadith? Is it Arabic language? Is it nahu? Is it sarf? Is it balagha? Is it tafsir? Which one is it? Can you tell me? Islamic sciences, إيش معنى? What does that mean, Islamic sciences? Can you tell me? It's a mishkila. It's a musibah that people are putting stuff out like this, and you guys are following these individuals. Islamic sciences. Which science? Nobody asks. And these individuals continue doing what they're doing. Anything else?
Then he has Islamic creed, but
Islamic creed. What does that mean?
that's the issue. School?
Which school? Any school? Who taught him? Where was he taught? Does he have it? All these questions nobody knows. It's empty words. It means nothing. But you guys don't scrutinize it. That's what I'm getting to scrutinize. Anything else? Ijazah is Islamic Sharia. You guys, what does that mean? Islamic Sharia. Islamic Sharia. What does that mean? Usul al-fiqh. Hanafi method. Shafi'i. What does that mean? Islamic Sharia. What does that mean?
Law.
Right, but what about it? What law? Which school of thought? Which one? Can you tell me? See the first one, the first example, what school, remember the first example a few minutes ago, 5 minutes ago? What school of fiqh, Umar, what school of fiqh was the first individual? Had all those details. Shafi'i. Can you tell me what field is he expert in? Wait, pass.